Hey guys, this is Black117 here, and today I will be going over my sort of a new draft analysis. As this is technically not a league, but like sort of a draft tour. So we are participating in the Amino Drafts draft tour, and I think by the time you're watching this video, um, like most of the league has already been finished or it's been wrapping up. Um, So we do make it far into the tournament. How far? I guess it's up to you guys to figure that out, but that's whatever. So I want to go over the team that I drafted or got. So with this, with the Amino Draft Tour, there were I think about 62 people that joined, which was fairly very high. And the fact that it's very unique from different draft leagues is that instead of drafting Pokemon, you actually select them based off of like sort of like kind of like oh, if you're like shopping for them in a way, you can just pick them up, and there's no like oh you can pick up anyone can pick up the same Pokemon, or let's say like anyone can pick the same Pokemon over and over. Not like in their team, but like let's say 5 people can pick let's say Entei, like each of them can get an Entei. So people can do that. So there could be duplications between drafts and teams. So it's like kind of like that. So there are only 9 slots for every team. So any first or 9 Pokemon. You could only draft 2 team moves, and it is very much you have to have all your Pokemon within a limit of 46 points or below, I believe. Or I think it has to be around 40. It has to be at 46. And also, there's a tiering system which they follow by like tier I think A, which is like 10 points. Tier I believe it's tiered points. Tier B was like 3 points. C was like I forgot it was 4 points, and D was like 2 points. So regarding this draft tour, it was kind of interesting. So going into it, and I honestly didn't know what to draft, honestly, and I actually had like 2 drafts in mind. One that had like Celesteela, Megalade, and there's another one that had which is the one you're looking at right now. So, I decided to go with since these 2 Pokemon were available, I was like, you know what, I might as well just go hard with these 2, and I just went with Latias. So Mega Latias, I think you've seen him or do like a lot of work in a draft league, and I figured it's pretty much a really reliable tank slash setup sweeper if you think about it. Like none of these, like aside attack and maybe HP, none of its stats are like bad in a way. Like it has a great coverage options. It has, as you can see, Dragon Psychic. Yes, it's weak to stuff like Dark, Bug, Ice, Fairy. You can't hit steals for shit. But even then, you're fairly bulky enough and have enough recovery options to take plenty of hits. And it only costs 10 points, which was like crazy to me. So I was like, you know what, I have to get Latias. It does have access to Recover, Wish, Reflect type, Whirlpool if you want to trap shit, Defog. And it was very important to me that I have a Defogger. And it has a bunch of coverage options as well, like Ice Beam, Thunderbolt, Draco Meteor. I think even has Sucker Punch, Earthquake for coverage, for physical coverage. And it also has Healing Wish, since these type of tournaments, kind of like it's a one and done. So like if you make it in, if you win, you go into the next round. If you lose, it's over. So yeah. So yeah. Of course, we always know that Combine Latias thing, but I wanted to go away from that for a while now. But then again, if I see Combine as an option, then I'll go with it. So yeah. So that's Latias for you. The next Pokemon is basically a Pokemon I don't know why they allowed it, but it's kind of like me just looking at it like after having a really poor time using it in this one league. I decided, you know, I'm gonna pick Magearna because Magearna is probably, everyone will say, it's one of the more broken Pokemon in Draft League at the moment, and or like not, if it's allowed, it's probably the best Pokemon. Aside maybe Coco and Celesteela, but the thing with Magearna is that Soul Heart is such a good ability in the sense that even if your Pokemon, if your opponent can't even sack their Pokemon, basically, because you just give it a Soul Heart boost, and then also the fact that you just get a special Moxie, so. And its coverage options are so good with Aura Sphere, Dazzling Gleam, Flash Cannon, Fleur Cannon, which is basically a special Draco Meteor for fairies, Focus Blast, Heal Bill, Heart Swap, Ice Beam, Dual Screens, Paint Split. So it has some form of minor recovery. The substitute, Trick Room, Thunderbolt, Thunder Wave, Volt Switch. It's such a great Pokemon in general. It could be utility as well, like with Assault Vest, 50% Berry, and whatnot. So this thing, the reason why I say that like I had a very how to say bad time using it is because maybe it's just the team I drafted it with, which I thought was like, oh, maybe I'll just draft Rain and like make it like so that fire types can't do shit to my team, and then I have a Magearna, and then boom, like with Mega Swampert. So this time I'm like, you know what? I'm just going big. So yeah, the thing is with Magearna is like people have to respect Magearna. Otherwise, this thing could just sweep entire teams, and Magearna could also disrespect a lot of teams in itself. So yeah, like the fact that like I did have drafted 2 Sea Crystals, which is Steelium and Ferium Z. I did draft Ferium Z because I didn't want to miss Fleur Trident at all. And the other was Steelium was actually I was going to go for Ferium Z, but I decided for Entei, as you'll see. But I decided Steelium was better because all the rest of my Pokemon can learn Steel type moves, and I might as well. So that was kind of like a filler. So, but yeah, even like Shift Gear like gives Magearna some like versus 2 +2 speed and +1 attack. That can be useful because it does have access to Iron Hands, but unfortunately no play rough. And its attack stat's not that bad. 95 is like really respectable. But its defense is just amazing if you ask me. So yeah, the only bad thing is that it's slow, weak to fire, and ground types, and everyone will probably know what you're bringing every week, so or every round. So yeah, it was 10 points, reasonably so. So yeah. Then we have a Pokemon that I think was probably, I think it just should have been tiered like 8, like it should have been 10 points. But 8 points is like kind of a steal in my opinion. Which is Zapdos, especially with having the Baton Pass like legalized. So that's something I really wanted. And I think you've all seen me talk about Zapdos so many times. So let's talk about Baton Pass. The fact that I can Baton Pass agility into Magearna is just really dumb as well. So Zapdos is a great pivot. It's a great dual screener. Has accessible Reflect, Light Screen, Heat Wave, Discharge, Thunder Wave. It can spread status very well. It has access to both U-Turn and Volt Switch. Has Whirlwind, though I believe that's a Virtual Console exclusive, so people might figure that shit out. Even Curse, which is kind of hilarious. And it can actually pull Curse off if you think about it. So, the one thing I like about Zapdos is that it's so versatile. In terms of being a Specs user or like a Scarf or like mostly a pivot option, you could make it like any like either a physical wall or a special wall. And I think you've seen me use Zapdos so many times on this channel and all the times I've used in the draft. And it's just an amazing Pokemon in all intents and purposes. Static has saved my ass so many times. That's not even funny. So yeah, Static Discharge is such a good thing. The fact that now it could be complemented with Defog, and now I have like 2 Defoggers with this team. So yeah. The next Pokemon, I actually wanted to pick this Pokemon for a while now, and I wanted to try it out. And that is Alolan Muck. for 4 points, which is actually kind of crazy for 4 points. But then again, like that's their cheat structure. So, but yeah, Alolan Muck has a lot of versatility. Like with the Dark Poison typing, you're basically only weak to ground moves, and I already have 2 Levitators. And the thing is, I could take on Psychic types. I could Pursue Trap them, and the fact that this was basically, and also the reason why I got Alolan Muck was not because I wanted to try it out. Not just that. It's just that Aegislash is legalized, and I was like, oh, I have to deal with that thing. You'll see that very soon, but still. But yeah, Curse. You have access to Curse. You have access to Gluttony Recycle, which in and of itself is amazing. You have access to Curse Mug, Crunch, Knockoff, Acid Spray. You have an Explosion. Also, you have Knockoff, Elemental Punches, Memento, which is very, very useful if you want to set up Magearna. So yeah. Even has Block, Poison Fang, Stockpile, all this other moves. I remember using Facing Monk all this time in like VGC 17. It was just dumb. So, and now like with access to Gluttony Recycle with Ultra Sun, Ultra Moon, it's just a good Pokemon to consider in any draft. And I wanted to try it out. So this guy is really nice. It has its stats are really good enough to recycle Curse, and it's actually very scary because you could just boost up and then like nothing can kill you unless they remove your item with Knockoff or some weird ass move. So yeah, that's a Alolan Muck. Our next Pokemon we're going to talk about is our Fire Water Grass Course. So the first Pokemon I wanted to have in mind was Chestnut, because I wanted a fighting type and a grass type, and I didn't want to pick a Brazian at all. And I wanted a more defensive Pokemon, and the more I looked into it, I realized, yeah, I'm gonna have to pick Chestnut. I think Chestnut was like literally along with Muck, and Zapdos were like the only 3 that I actually wanted to keep on the same team. So yeah, the thing with Chestnut is that it's a great Pokemon in League, like despite what other people say. But having access to a plethora of options to set up with Bulk Up, Swords Dance, Pyro Punch, Belly Jump, I know everyone knows that one. So, and the fact that it's very defensive in general with access to Leech Seed, Spikes, which is very important because, like, I noticed that some teams are very weak to Spikes, and I was like, you know what? Spikes Chestnut could be really nice at times. And you have access to moves like Earthquake, Wood Hammer, which is a very strong grass type move, Drain Punch to recover, Sinitas as well. It's just, and also access to my personal favorite move, Super Fang, which just wears down like teams so fast. It's just, and also it has Toxic, so Rock Slide, Roar, Spiky Shield, just to, you know, if you really want to F around with people using physical moves. So yeah, I really like Chestnut because it really, like, I remember pairing Chestnut as well with Latias back in Oras. It was Mega Latias. It was back when I was using Balance, and Latias was picking up usage. It was very nice using Chestnut and Latias together. I like with Chestnut being able to eat up those dark type moves. And one last thing I want to say is that Bulletproof is so good. Having immunity to moves like Shadow Ball, Sludge Bomb, Focus Blast, I believe Aura Sphere as well, Gyro Ball. It's very weird, like having all these specific immunities to certain moves that could actually be helpful in certain situations. And the thing, yeah, and with Chestnut having 88 HP and 122 defense, that's crazy. And with 107 attack, it's just, to back that up, it's like a perfect tank if you think about it. Like, I honestly want to make a video about Chestnut in a Draft League video one day. I actually think it's really good. It's that good. And I even won a league with it, so hopefully Chestnut can help us pull through. So, my next Pokemon is actually a Pokemon I didn't want to pick up at all. And I thought, It was just because the fact that there are so many scary steel types, like Celesteela, like Magearna, and I was looking at all the tier 4 fire type Pokemon, and none of them were as bulky or tanky enough to take those like steel types, because it was just scary as hell to consider and face off against. So yeah. So I decided to pick up Entei because, yes, I know having Entei is kind of like limiting yourself to being adamant, but you don't have to run adamant all the time. So you can run like the adamant with with the shiny nature. But the thing with Entei is that it has reasonably okay bulk with 115 HP, 85 defense, and 75 special defense. Yeah, I know it's fallen off with the fact that Sacred Fire has gotten nerfed in Sun and Moon, but I still think the fact that you could just burn stuff on the switch in is just scary, and you have access to like some very strong setup options like how Mine. I know that's not really nice, but like, and also Curse. And Curse could actually be very interesting when you pair that up with Sacred Fire. So, um, like I know the move pool is very limited, so you could just run Stone Edge, Extreme Speed, maybe with like a Choice Band set. I really like the fact that its bulk is really nice and very versatile. I had the sense that like people will know what I'm bringing, but the bulk itself is just to be enough to like help me take on certain Pokemon, like the Magearnas, the Aegis Slashes, and whatnot. So yeah, Choice Band, Assault Vest, even the 50% berry helps Entei a lot in these situations. So yeah, maybe with Substitute as well. So I know it has a limited move pool, and Entei would probably be the one guy that I would put a Z move on. But honestly, I'd rather just have it. Like, since there are gonna be matches where I won't even bring Entei at all, I figured it was fine just drafting it, especially the fact that it was for 4 points, and it was like probably the only bulky fire type I liked in that tier. And the other one was a Alolan and Marowak, but then I realized people could just knock you off or just run some like Marowak doesn't have as much bulk as Entei, and with factoring in Sacred Fire and all that stuff. Another thing I wanted to consider is the fact that pressure could actually be very nice in certain situations. So yeah. So that's Entei for you. Next Pokemon I was going to talk about is a Pokemon that I wanted to grab from Tier 4, another one, and that is Empoleon. Now, Empoleon is pretty much a very good utility water type, and not only this fact that it has access to rocks like Scald, like Defog, Knockoff, and that is just amazing. The fact that you have access to Stealth Rock, Scald, Defog, Knockoff, Toxic, and all these coverage options, as you'll see. Like, you have access to Surf, Hydro Pump, Grass Knot, Blizzard, Ice Beam, Liquidation now, Gel Pick, and we'll talk about that. Signal Beam, and it has 111 special attack, and that's just insane for like a very good defensive Pokemon like Empoleon. Empoleon very appreciates having like Chestnut paired with each other, so I think this is not the only time like I've paired these three together, like Chestnut and Empoleon, and even Entei. So yeah. But one thing I'll say is that I've noticed a lot of teams like I know Empoleon's move pool is very nice in terms of coverage and the fact that it's just good enough to like pass for like a tier 4 Pokemon or like a tier 2 Pokemon that costs 4 points, and it just has good enough coverage and utility to the point where like I was like, yeah, I like it. Especially Water Steel is probably one of the best typings. I think you're only weak to Ground, Electric, and Fighting, I believe. And you have a plethora of resistances, which like Fairy, Steel, Dragon, Psychic, which is amazing. So yeah. One last thing I'll say is that Defiant Empoleon shouldn't be discounted, because the fact that just because Empoleon has Intimidate, or just because Empoleon has like a very like especially based, doesn't mean you should discount like Defiant because, like, the fact that I've seen so many teams with Sticky Web, it's very nice to have that option, and even the agility as well. So, like, maybe Defiant Sword Stance, that might be cool to run. So, I don't know. So, then our last two Pokemon are pretty much glue Pokemon that we had to fill out from the bottom of the tier. However, there's some really good, there's some interesting Pokemon here. So, then we got our second to last Pokemon was the Licky Licky. Now, Licky Licky was pretty much a Pokemon I did not expect to draft, but then after looking at Smooth Pool again and talking with one of my friends about it, I realized that Licky Licky has a very good niche in the fact that it has access to Oblivious Wish pass. So it's like you have Heal Bell, Wish, Protect, and yeah, it's probably one of the few Wish passers that doesn't get I believe taunted. So you're immune to taunt, and you could pass out very fat wishes to, like, let's say a Pokemon like Magearna or Muck, Latias, Empoleon, Chestnut. It's very nice in the sense that, and it's with its base 95 defenses and access to even some sort like to moves like Sword Stance. It's very nice, and even has I think Explosion as well, which is kind of cool. If you just choice band, you can run choice band Explosion, especially with like a wish set. So once you're done, you just like go boom on your opponent and just be on your way. So yeah. The only thing I don't like about like Licky Licky is that Oblivious and Wish have to be like together, and you don't have access to its I believe it's a Gen 3 exclusive move, so you can't run Wish put top with Curse, which would have honestly made Licky Licky such a better Pokemon in Draft League. Like Wish plus Curse would have just made it such a dangerous defensive threat, in my opinion. So, with Facade even so, but I think it has enough versatility just to like be like a cleric or like a Sword Stance user or whatever. So, so yeah, that's Licky Licky. And the last Pokemon we are trying out is our Stallion in Mudsdale. Now this one I was very, very excited about bringing her like drafting because I was looking for some ground types and I was like, all right, let's see. And I noticed Mudsdale was there. I was like, you know what? I guess it's time to give love to this Mudsdale. So, and to be honest, I honestly wanted to try it out for once because I've seen it like, well, the only time I've seen Mudsdale, I think there's like only 2 times I've seen it be used, but like the one time I've seen it like being useful was in a doubles draft league where it just wrecked house and it was like the second leading scorer, and I was like, holy shit, like calm down. I think that was mostly because, like, of course, people had redirection and all that stuff, but here, the fact that now it has access to, like, Stealth Rocks is really big for Mudsdale. And the fact that with Stamina, I think this is the big thing. With Stamina, it's very, very hard to kill if you keep attacking Mudsdale. So let's say if you just run a max defense set, you can just run Earthquake, like, let's say a coverage option, let's say, I don't know, Heavy Slam, and then you run Rest. Now you're dealing with a Mudsdale that's actually boosted up to, like, I don't know, +2, like, let's say +3, +4. Like, because by then, let's say if you have like a 50% berry, and then once you're like low, really, really low, and you consume your berry, it's going to be very difficult for that physical attacker to kill you. And it's very hard to kill Mudsdale once it has +6 defense. I'm not kidding, so. Now, I do understand why Mudsdale was drafted or put very low, is that its move pool is not as strong as it is. It doesn't have, like, let's say, Curse. Because I think if it did have Curse, this thing would be, or a good recovery move like Milk Drink, this thing would be stupidly good. I'm not gonna lie, this thing would be like one of the best rockers in League. Like the fact that you could just pressure so many things and then have like stamina just to boost your defenses as well. I think only special attackers would be able to deal with it. And again, you have 125 attack and 100 HP and 100 defense and a good respectable special defense stat of 85. So the fact that this thing could just take hits from physical attackers once it gets going with stamina, it's almost difficult to kill unless you get a crit, of course. So yeah, um, and I really wanted to try it out in some of the games that we'd be playing. So well, that's your hint right there. So yeah, that's my team. Overall, I do feel like this team feels like for a 9 draft team, I do like how we went with like having 3 hazard options in Mudstill, Empoleon, and Chestnut. We do have somewhat of a weird weakness to ground and ice, so hopefully we don't face any of those type of Pokemon. So yeah, um, yeah, I do think that our team is just really good enough and bulky enough to just utilize, and the fact that Empoleon is just a great or like this is a good core in and of itself, and then the fact that we have our Magearna, Latias. Like I do think that Magearna and Latias are probably gonna steal the show, or I don't know, maybe Alolan Luck can be like more of a defensive unit. So yeah, so and these guys in general, I think I have high hopes for like Entei and Chestnut really, and Empoleon, I don't know, but we'll see about that. So that's all that we're gonna have for this draft video. So draft discussion. So I'll be uploading these battles. I'm gonna upload the first one I think immediately after this one, like the day after. So and from there, I don't know. Like this is technically gonna be like an ongoing series we'll have on this channel for at least like I don't know how long. So and you'll see it like whenever like I might not be uploading. Whenever there's like a video that isn't on the channel, expect this video, like these type of videos to come up, like the draft tour. So see how far I went. So anyways, that's all gonna be it. So this is I think the first battle will be going up Saturday, and we'll have like the videos every Saturday from now on. So every Saturday we'll have like a draft video, kind of replacing KCBL for a little while. So yeah, this won't take up like a PFA because this whole draft tournament actually happened within the span of like a month. So yeah, so this is kind of like it just happened quickly. So and I just want to record my thoughts and analysis, give it insight and whatnot. So yeah. All right. So enough about me rambling. So all right. That's all we're gonna have, and take care, everyone. So peace.